So, greetings everyone. As always, we are here together with you with another AMA. Actually, this is about a project which we have featured in this channel recently. This is a very important Launchpad project which has been mostly popular in the recent times because of their great systems and achievements. This is called Decubate. First, they have a very good learn to earn system, which I've talked about in the video. This is a system which gives you information about the project, urges you to search more about the projects that you want to invest, and then you can invest. It works for both ways because it both incentivizes you and it also makes you knowledgeable about the projects which you may want to invest as well. Also, Decubate is based on EU and their regulatory compliance, which is a huge bonus for a Launchpad project, for any crypto project actually, because in the near future we will have to see more regulated projects. They also have a very good tier system, but I will not into details. I will not get into details. And for that, we have Elliot Hagemeijer, the founder and the CEO of the project, who will explain us the project even further for your questions. So welcome, Elliot Hagemeijer, and first we can get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So a little bit about myself. I entered this space in 2016. My background is in UX design. I got my studies there. Really always like to have beautiful platforms and really wanted to learn how to build applications, websites, and really think about how can I make like a user-centric system through design, through usability, UX design, these kind of things. 2016, I had my first company. I had to do with augmented reality, virtual reality. I got into contact with a cryptocurrency broker. Back in 2016, you could almost not find any information on the internet in regards to how to mine Ethereum and these kind of things. So they explained me actually how I can start mining Ethereum. So I started to do that. I forgot about it. And the beginning of 2017, you saw Ethereum on the news everywhere. That's when the ICO boom started. I realized I could invest my Ethereums in these ICOs. That's when basically my obsession, you could even call it, and passion for the IDO space started. Never left before. Afterwards, 2018, in the bear market, I started working at a cryptocurrency exchange as the head of listings. I was working very, very closely with the compliance department, make sure that we have a very, very thorough selective process for adding cryptocurrencies to our broker. And then in 2021, I started very early on, started Decubate, and here we are today.
Yeah. You sure look happy about Decubate and where it stands right now with its recent success.
Yeah, definitely. So since we started Decubate in 2021, we launched the token somewhere in July. So it took us some time to build the entire products that we have. So for those who don't know, Decubate is not just a launchpad. We are really like a token management service provider. So we basically are one-stop shop for projects that are looking to launch the token into the market or looking to tokenize their business. And we basically provide them all the services that they need in order to do that, right? So we provide them token minting, vesting, staking, governance protocols, whatever it is that you can think of when it comes to vanilla things, they can come to us. We can save them up to 95% of their money and time. Which brings us a lot of very, very good deal flow, gives us a lot of great insights in regards to how competent these teams are also from a technical perspective. And in regards to our success, we had to ride the bear market starting 2022. We hit an all-time low of 0.000, so that's 3078. And we're getting close, to 7 cents. So that means that hopefully very shortly, we're going to do like 100x since the all-time low. So there's a lot of very, very exciting things happening within Decubate. We've been grinding the entire bear market, and now we're very much looking forward to this bull market.
Yeah, I'm sure your community is also very happy where you stand right now because you really worked hard for that. I mean, just by looking at the interface of the Decubate website and the Launchpad, one can see that you worked really hard to adjust the platform, which is both user-friendly and detailed as well. And I really liked that when I was reviewing the project. Also, you said that you help projects to grow more so that you can host them in your Launchpad. Another aspect which is very important when it comes to Launchpads and your IDO space is that you need to select projects very carefully. You need to select projects that you help very carefully, but also the projects that you host. So can you share what percentage of projects that apply to Decubate are actually selected to host an IDO?
That's a great question. Um, I would say less than 5%. So one in the
Oh.
20, that is the one that we actually in the end like host the IDO for.
Hmm.
Thing is that we get also like deal flow from a very large quantity of, let's call them stakeholders and partners. So we have obviously like we have more than 700 KOLs that are within our network, more than 100 VCs. We are working also with a lot of launchpads, specifically also the top 10 and within the market.
Hmm.
We work with a lot of market makers, exchanges. So we're getting deal flow from all the sides, right? So we need to be also very, very selective in what it is that we're doing. So um, but also a lot of times, if we don't work with them on the IDO or they want to work with us on the technical
Hmm.
solutions, that gives us again like very good insights in regards to okay, this is going to be something interesting for our community or not. And the interesting thing about it is that I would say that almost half the projects that we have launched on Decubate did not actually apply to Decubate for the launchpad. They actually applied on Decubate because they needed to have like a vesting portal,
Oh.
or they needed to be connected to some kind of exchange, market maker, these kind of things. And that's when we build actually the relationship. We get to know them a little bit better, and when we see that the product is really has a lot of potential, and
Hmm.
it also have this is the most important aspect to our selection is the team behind it. That's when we actually start also a lot of times the conversations toward actually bringing them forward to the launchpad. And just to give you like final thing, we take a look at more than 30 different variables before we actually accept them. So our strategy is really to go with quality rather than quantity, and that reflects also on the fact that we are currently number 2 in the world when it comes to the current ROI of the projects that we have launched so far.
Yeah. And actually, I wasn't gonna ask you about that. When I check the crypto rank, I can see that Decubate is doing really well. Especially, I think in the last month and at the beginning of the 2024, you had a very great run. And so there must be key factors which has contributed to your project's potential and how your project is doing right now. So, what are the top three things you like to see in a project when considering it for an IDO on Decubate? Because surely the IDOs that you selected contribute to your overall ROI and your success.
Yeah, that is another great question. So when you want to bring a project to the market, there's obviously like the aspect of having the product ready, you have the right team, operationally they can scale up. You need to have, of course, the business model, like how is this token actually going to be used? Because the company itself, a lot of times you see like big companies that want to introduce like a token, but what kind of value is this token in the end going to be? Because you as an investor,
Hmm.
you're not
Hmm.
buying a piece of the company, you're buying a piece of the token, so the piece of the utility. So one of the biggest questions, obviously, after we take a look at the team and the vision and those kind of things, is um, how can we use this token when it hits the market, and how can we make sure then that the usage is there,
Hmm.
but then also the exposure. So when we come in, it's really about making sure that the message and the narrative is there, connecting them to the right partners. So it's not just about raising funds; it's about
Definitely,
raising the right
definitely.
funds. Um, and when it comes to exchanges, we help them also with negotiations, with the connections. We actually align also with the market makers, make sure that everything is just there. And then most importantly, once they launch into the market, our approach is not to be like like a launchpad factory for IDOs. We actually
Yeah.
like to work very, very closely with the projects that we work with, and I'll even take it further. Because we have the B2B side of the business for ourselves,
Yes.
it's actually really important to also have launch projects that can also add a lot of services to our one-stop shop solution, right? So
Hmm.
once we launch a project, we can also help them after they hit the market through deal flow of the other 100 projects that are currently using our services and so on, right? So that's how we basically also equip them with their success. So with our entire growing network.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think if a project like you, I mean, just even taking into consideration the launchpad, if you don't provide B2B solutions, well, it's kind of like not doing much, just hosting the IDOs. It's not much. But when you do B2B, that makes it valuable actually, because you're contributing to the project and contributing to the community who would want to invest into the projects as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you could see that also like in the past bear market. I mean, in the previous bull market, we saw like what, 200,
Hmm.
250 different launch pads. More than 95% of them, they are not active today. And that
Yeah.
is because launch pads, they do not work in a bear market. And this is why also we started Decubate not from the
Hmm.
perspective of being a launch pad, but really a service provider. So when the bear market came, it was very natural shift for us to actually focus on our product offerings and the business side of things so that we have a sustainable business model instead of lining on paying salaries with DCB and liquidating our token. We actually don't rely at all on the launchpad, neither the DCB side of the business.
Definitely. I think crypto community also appreciates that, and saw your crypto rankings and your success, recent success. So it's very helpful. But of course, like crypto community appreciate what you do, but crypto market is also always evolving. We see that it changes all the time. And like there are different times when the sector heats up. There are some times where we enter the bear market. So what verticals are currently showing the most promise on Decubate? So are there any particular niches or innovations that you're actively seeking?
That's a great question. So I'll answer through two sides of the
Okay.
coin, right? There's one of them which is Decubate is established as a company that does not rely on the next hype and these kind of
Mm-hmm.
things, right? There's always going to be the next gold rush. We are
Yes.
there to provide the picks and shovels for those who are getting gold off the ground,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's GameFi, whether that's real world assets, NFTs, these kind of things. It doesn't matter to us. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all good for us because we have the infrastructure and the services to provide to all of them, no matter what kind of niche they are. And then from our side of things, what we really like to see and what we think is going to be very big, especially in this cycle, we are taking a look, obviously, like at AI. We take a look at infrastructure. So I think that a lot of layer twos are going to do very fantastic things with ZK technology and these kind of things. We also see BRC20, for instance, Core, Linea. Um, so we want to really like get involved in these new chains and technologies
Mm-hmm.
from as early as possible. So we also have like a partnership, for instance, with Linea, where we are going to provide a lot of solutions to
Mm-hmm.
projects that are building there. Um, but to make it very specific, we are taking a look at infrastructure, real world assets. So I sincerely really believe in tokenization of all assets. That was my like vision from 2017, why I actually really got passionate about this market and really believe also in the future that everything is going to be tokenized.
Mm-hmm.
And GameFi also, I think it's very, very, very early for GameFi, but we're starting to get there. I think we were very early on in 2021 or before that, but we're starting to get there. So yeah, and these kind of things.
Yeah. I think yes, being prepared for the future and seeing the future is very important for crypto. It's a like the space that changes very
Mhm.
quickly, and you should adapt yourself very quickly as well. So you should always seek new innovations. And like you said, like you're not limit yourself with only one aspect of the crypto, but you want to expand your vision. That's really important again.
Definitely.
So yeah, so there's a wide range of selection in your IDOs. So you want GameFi and other projects and different things. Can you actually walk us through the process once a project is selected for an IDO? So what kind of support and guidance does Decubate actually provide to ensure it is successful?
All right, that's a great question. So once let's say a project comes to us through one of our channels, right? We have the first call with them, which is a discovery call. We already did some due diligence before actually
Mm-hmm.
jumping on a call with them. So we already know what their tokenomics are, if there is potential in this. We already did some checks on the team and these kind of things. That's when the conversation starts.
Mm-hmm.
We see if there is a synergy to work with them also long term. Then we have a second call where we really want to deep dive into the product. We really want to see a demo. We want to try it ourselves. And then like we do also a lot of testing ourselves afterwards. Then in the third call, that is when we already did the background checks,
Mm-hmm.
AML, KYC, these kind of things, and basically make a decision if we want to proceed. But even though we are signing with them the IDO agreement, it doesn't mean that in the end they're going to reach the IDO. We actually have right now within Decubate probably 20 projects that are signed up for upcoming IDO,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to be launching on Decubate because we have very strict KPIs for them to actually reach before we offer them to our community. That can be, we want to see community growth,
Mm-hmm.
we want to see operational excellence. So a lot of times when they sign with us, sometimes they have very small teams and we feel like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you need to expand your team because this like things are going to go very heavy towards your listing and post listing, and we don't want you to go,
Yeah.
underwater with not enough people to actually maintain this thing that we're trying to do. Uh, Obviously, also exchange listings. One of the things that we learned from the previous bull run is we don't want our community to wait too long between
Definitely.
making their
Yeah.
investment in the public and waiting until the IDO is. So we actually want to see the contract from the agreement actually from the exchange before we actually make any specific announcement in regards to dates and these kind of things.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of an overview. We onboard with them KOLs, we onboard with them like the exchanges, market makers, VCs. We also connect to them, maybe other launch pads, some of them out there that we really like to work with. So really, whatever it is, whatever it takes for the project in the end to be successful,
Hmm.
we can basically offer them.
That's very like the elaborate approach that you take, I think, is very important. Most of the launchpads in the last or 2 years ago missed that aspect completely. They just seen themselves as just a screen to show you different ideas. But now what you're doing is quite different, actually. And
Definitely.
you also touched on this question in the last question, but I also want you to talk about a bit more about the due diligence process of the Decubate. Like, how do you vet the teams and the technology behind the projects?
That is a great question. So we have let's say 5 people within the due diligence team, right? So one of them is really doing the deep dive. He's really checking out if it's correct with, let's say, all the partnerships that they're claiming are there. My expertise is really in tokenomics. I think that tokenomics is telling a story about the intentions of the team.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
The project can look fantastic, on paper, and the white paper is fantastic and everything. But what if you see in one instance, like the tokenomics, the team tokens have only 3-month lockup, but the seed investors have like 6-month lockup? Um, that tells a
Yeah.
story. You ask them, why is the team only getting like 3 months lockup? Like, no, this needs to be like at least 12 months. That
Hmm.
gives you kind of a perspective. A lot of time you put them like on the spot, right? So that is just a very, very small example. But we have experts also within DeFi, so they are really checking that. Brandon, who is my chief of staff,
Hmm.
he is a proper nerd. He really likes to jump into these things, and he really tried out a lot of things out there, right? So he can really like call out if it's bullshit. He can call it out instantly. Then we have also, like, from a compliance perspective, we have people that have done studies in regards to this, so they also doing the background checks and these kind of things. Yeah, and then finally we have also like a person that is a little bit less connected
Hmm.
with the entire conversation, because a lot of times you can also influence them, by saying,
Yes.
this is bullish, like we should do it. So somebody that is, um, let's say she's not full-time within the company
Hmm.
and also not in the conversation, so she can really take a look at the project without being influenced by the conversations that we
Yeah.
have with the team so far.
With an objective
And
eye.
then in the end, yes, exactly, with an objective eye, and then in the end, we basically have a vote whether to commence with it or not. But again, very important. Just because we send them the agreement does not mean that we're going to launch them in the end. Like, it's not like, okay, we're now going to launch on Decubate. Like, we have KPIs for them to achieve before they're actually being hosted on our website.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. It's very elaborate answer. Actually, you gave us some insight about the team as well. That's really cool. So, in terms of idea projects, community is really an important part of any project success. And in terms of that, the Decubate itself should also be engaged with the community all the time, should be interactive with the
Mhm.
community. How does Decubate engage with and build the community around a new project?
That is a great question. So we have we are trying. So when you're not hosting as many IDOs as we want to
Hmm.
host, like I mentioned, we really want to go for quality rather than quantity, right?
Hmm.
So you give a lot of people like a lot more time to actually read up on the project. And I do understand everybody has a very busy life. There's a lot of noise in the market. There's a lot
Hmm.
of opportunities, right? So how can you basically lock them into the platform? So we came up with this thing called also like learn to earn, where we get um, well, a lot of tokens actually from the project that we can offer our community in order to learn about the project, take some actions, and then basically join their community, start the conversations, and these kind of things. Now we also have, like I mentioned, we have like 600, 700 KOLs within our groups, and a lot of them are
Mm-hmm.
also doing AMAs
Mm-hmm.
themselves, right? So we also connect the projects with the KOLs that also have themselves also a lot of communities to do these AMAs, to promote their projects, and to educate people as much as possible toward basically the listing. And I would argue that, uh, especially within the crypto space, communities start with as investors, then they potentially become users, and then from there they become ambassadors, right? So how can you make sure that they become from investors, you convert them to users, and then basically ambassadors? And that is something that we also discuss a lot of times with the teams, and we give them a lot of tips and information on how we are doing it.
Cool. Thank you. It takes a lot of effort to keep the community, to engage the community, but I think Learn to Earn is a great system that you have implemented into because, as I've said in the review video as well, I like the aspect that you not only incentivize the users with the project's own tokens, but also you urge people to learn more about the project themselves. They research the project, they understand the project, and before doing any kind of investment, that is quite important. And you're providing that in a passive way because you're also incentivizing them. I really like that aspect about Decubate.
Yeah.
Uh,
So a
yeah.
user actually has nothing to lose when it comes to Decubate,
Yes.
right? Because we provide them also a free base tier. We'll talk about it afterwards. And then they can go here to our Learn to Earn section.
Mm-hmm.
We have already airdropped more than $3 million to our user base just to learn about these projects. And they
Mm-hmm.
have nothing to lose, right? Like they go here, even with a base tier, you can earn a few dollars worth
Mm-hmm.
of these tokens just by answering some questions, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to really maintaining our community, like, okay, somebody can upgrade their tier to gold. Maybe something happens, whatever it is, and they are not gold anymore. They will always stay base, right? So they will always have the opportunity, even if they so-called leave
Mm-hmm.
the staking. They can always. It's very easy for them to come back to our platform to be actually continuously rewarded. And through this approach, we hope to actually create this cycle of having an investor,
Mm-hmm.
skipping that actually to a user, and then become an ambassador, and then hopefully become like an investor.
Okay. Having said that, you can actually talk us through the tier system.
Yeah, definitely. So let me share my screen for just a second. So within Decubate, we have an approach of a freemium model. What does
Mm-hmm.
this mean? It means that within most of the launchpads out there need to buy hundreds of dollars potentially of tokens and then stake them for a long duration in order to actually get access to the launchpad.
Mm-hmm.
Within Decubate, because we are regulated within the EU, yes, you need to do KYC, you need to verify your wallet. But once you do that, you actually start off with a base tier, which is worth 5,000 DCB
Mm-hmm.
staked value. Um, so that skips that entire flow of having to, buy DCB, stake DCB, commit for a very long time. And so the base tier also in our events, they have refund eligibility,
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed allocation. Um, and then as you can see, once you actually start with the base tier, you can actually grow to other tiers. And we have a very fair linear system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like if you start with a base tier and you have, let's say, 5,001 and then 5,002,
Mm-hmm.
for every DCB that you're actually staking, it will give you more benefits within the project.
Mm-hmm.
And for those bigger investors out there that are thinking, well, how much allocation am I getting for diamonds? And they think, well, $200 is not enough for me. Actually, that also goes through. You can actually have two diamonds, or let's say the tier is 200,000. You can actually have 300,000 DCB
Mm-hmm.
staked or 400,000. And they're actually easy ways to get to 200. You don't need to, let's say, have 200,000 DCB. If you provide liquidity, you're going to get a boost of 4 times the DCB that you're staking. Or if you're staking for long durations, your DCB power is going to count for more.
Mm-hmm.
So through this, we are trying to give like all access to as many potential users as we can. Whether you have a lot of funds or you don't have a lot of budget to kickstart, Decubate provides you a way to actually enter this IDO space without having to invest too much, so you can try out our platform.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Actually, looking at this, why don't we collaborate on kind of a giveaway about a diamond tier? What do you say to that?
Yeah, so we also, because working with ambassadors and influencers such as yourself to bring the word out there
Mm-hmm.
to grow with Decubate, because the bigger Decubate is going to be, obviously, the better the projects, the more locations that we can also ask. we actually have a referral system.
Mm-hmm.
Before, users are thinking, I need to click this link and a referral link, and we are kind of shilling it and
Yeah.
those kind of things. Actually, if you use the referral link, it's not just you that are going to get a reward, but actually if the user is using the referral link and they kickstart with a base tier today, they will actually get 50 DCB for free. If they upgrade
Okay.
into bronze, they will get 100,
Mm-hmm.
100, silver is 200, and then 500, and so on and so on, right? So we actually reward you as the influencer, but also the user that is registering and then
Cool.
potentially upgrades in the future.
Yeah.
And then to your answer, um, if somebody is going to use your link that is just below this video,
Yeah. Okay.
um, we're going we're going to roll a list, and then we can do a giveaway for a gold tier.
Okay, so guys, when this video is launched, below in the descriptions, you will see a special link provided by Decubate itself, the founder himself. So you can click this link to get more rewards, and also a referral system is very important. So it will incentivize you, of course, as a referrer, me as well. And what is the estimated value of this diamond tier?
So based on the current value today of 7 cents for one DCB, it's actually 3,500 approximately.
Yeah.
So they're going to get a lifelong gold tier. That's going to give them more allocations for projects, going to give them more allocation for learn to earn,
Mm-hmm.
um, and basically start pretty big from the beginning.
That's great. Okay. So the link will be down in the descriptions of the video. Thank you so much for that. I think the community will appreciate it as well as I do.
Yeah. Well, if you want to support the channel, obviously, like it goes as a win-win, right?
Yeah.
This is what we are trying to create also within Decubate, a win-win for investors and a win-win for the projects.
Thank you very much. So let's move on with the questions. So the industry of crypto is a very competitive space, but also
Mhm.
the space that you're in with an all-in-one solution, including a launchpad, is again very competitive. So you
Mhm.
already explained a lot about Decubate, their B2B system, learn-to-earn system. There are many things that makes you one step ahead of the projects that have been launched before. But also, what distinguishes Decubate from other launchpads in terms of value for both projects, creators, and investors?
Yeah, so like I explained before, and we have the referral system, we have the free base tier, we have really the guaranteed allocation also for the base tier. We have a fair linear system. We have a great selection of projects. We don't rely on the launchpad or on DCB liquidations in order to pay the salaries. Actually, nobody within the company, they all get like dollars, euros, or stable coins from us, no DCBs. Um, we have a very healthy business model. Like we survived the bear market. We are now in a bull market, so the business is also doing well. So we're
Mm-hmm.
not going anywhere. I can also say from a founder's perspective, me and the founders that kickstarted Decubate, we are very good friends of each other, but we started the friendship from a professional
Mm-hmm.
perspective. That means that we selected, or I specifically selected the best of the best of the people that I used to work with in order to kickstart this company together. And we all believe that this is just the beginning. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going anywhere. I don't have an exit strategy outside of just working on Decubate, making sure that we have the most user-centric launchpad in the world. And I think that that is also very important for users out there. So it's not specifically only the things that I said before, what potentially could make us better than other launchpads. It's also the commitment that we are saying, no, we are here for the long term. We're not going anywhere. We know what we are doing. We already have that experience of working through bear markets, me personally, also within previous cycles. So I know what to expect. I know how to maneuver those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also like the cultural thing within the company, we really set the user first and also the project first. We are always on the chat. We're always getting feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We're also human. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we learn from that mistakes, and that is a cultural thing. So I would say that that really differentiates us from the other launch pads when you take a look across the board. So it's not specifically that we're also focusing on them. We're really focusing on ourselves, making sure that we are doing the best we can.
I see. Trustability is very important, and it really distinguishes many projects. If your project appears as a trustable project, if you can see the founder, CEO, they are public, they're speaking, they're interactive with the community, this is very important. And Decubate actually puts a lot of importance on that aspect because community is again crucial for the project. And security is linked to trustability, and security is a concern among the crypto world, as you know. And what measures does Decubate take to ensure the safety of the investments made through your platform? I know you have a very good refund policy, but you can explain it. And what else do you do for security?
Decubate, so let me start off with our CTO, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
our CTO, I met him when I worked at the cryptocurrency exchange here in the Netherlands called Decubate. They
Mm-hmm.
manage hundreds of millions of euros, and he was
Mm-hmm.
actually head of the DevSecOps. For those who don't know what that means, he was actually a huge role within the infrastructure, making sure that there are no hacks and these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Second part is also our approach when it comes to our smart contracts. We try to build our smart contracts in a very simple way. We get them audited by 4 different companies. So it's not just Hacken and Certec. We also have a third company and also a fourth company that is taking a look at these things, double testing everything. We have vested out with our vesting, just to give you a perspective, $5 billion at all-time high value. We have never had any issues, any hacks, and
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things. Second, with our staking systems, we have more than 250 reaching 300 million TVL. Never had any issues with that as well. And then most importantly, within Decubate, we don't hold user funds.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is non-custodial, everything is permissionless, right? So I don't have
Right.
even access to a user's funds or for their staking and these kind of things. Even if I wanted to get them out of our staking system, I couldn't do it. Like it's on the blockchain, it's a smart card, like everything is permissionless in
Mm-hmm.
that regard. Which is also why we are compliant with EU regulations. We don't manage user funds, we don't store user funds, and we don't sell
Mm-hmm.
cryptocurrencies using banks and euros and dollars and these kind of things. So the user is really in control. You should see Decubate as a facilitator.
I see. Actually, still on the topic of security, regulatory compliance is very important. And you are regulatory compliant by EU standards, as far as I can understand, right?
Yes,
And
correct.
how do you navigate the different regulations across the countries you operate in?
That's a great question. So again, like within the EU, we don't hold user funds.
Mm-hmm.
We don't manage user funds. We don't sell crypto for euros.
Mm-hmm.
So you can really view it as a technology company. Now, even though right now there isn't regulations in regards to how you can operate, there's only one thing that we know, which is if you are doing one of these 3 things, you basically need to have licenses. But very soon within the EU, for instance, there's going to be a lot of regulations coming out called also MiCA. So that
Mm-hmm.
means that all cryptocurrency service offering platforms are going to have to apply for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we are basically making sure that we are prepared in order to get these licenses on all
Mm-hmm.
fronts. Just to give you a perspective, one of our advisors is actually one of the biggest legal firms here in the Netherlands when it comes to legal aspects of things,
Mm-hmm.
but also like blockchain, specifically blockchain knowledge. Um, I don't like to say this out loud, but also if you take a look at our advisors, we also have even someone that is high up in Coinbase that is also advising us very closely when we need his assistance in
Mm-hmm.
the account. But also, we don't serve, let's say, countries that, let's say, United States and these kind of things where there is no legal clarity in regards to how to operate this. We just don't allow them to do KYC on our platform and entry, right? So compliance, I would say, is actually one of the most important aspects of the company and making sure that we are long-term sustainable and can operate also long-term.
Definitely. And having this early on in 2024 is also very important because many projects will have to do that later and it will take much more effort and it will be hard for the community and the project to be regulatory compliant if they are not. So from the start, you are regulatory compliant. This is, again, both user friendly and also useful for the project.
Definitely,
Uh,
100%.
yeah. So, I want to talk about the IDOs that you have had in your platform. Could you give us an insight into the success stories of the projects launched on Decubate? Any standout performers that you like mentioned?
Yeah, sure. So if you can see my screen here, you can see that within even like the bear market. So this was when projects did not launch. Most of the launchpads were not launching any projects.
Mm-hmm.
We had ChainGPT that did 60x on the private sale. We had LitLab, also 5.8 at the all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, actually, one of the interesting things is that still all the projects that we have launched, the current RUI, I would argue that all-time high RUI, that's Fugazi.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the token did 100x at 3 a.m. in the morning, like chances are that you were not there to sell
Yes.
the top, if you get what I mean, right? So it's better to invest in it's better to offer, let's say, projects that have higher chances
Mm.
of long-term success rather than the lucky ones that might have like you know like a bump here and there. Um, so those are primarily the successes that we had
Mm-hmm.
in the past year. So since we have started launching projects less than 1 year ago, actually. So a lot of great projects here, and just as I'm actually an advisor for most of these projects. Just as
Yeah. They're really good projects. I know ChainGPT, Solidus, and also Octavia is a very promising project as far as I can see.
yeah, definitely. So ChainGPT, I worked with Elon, who is the founder,
Mm-hmm.
very early on. Before he launched his token, we helped him with his tokenomics and a lot of other
Mm-hmm.
things. He's super smart, very hardworking. I've not experienced a lot of that hardworking people,
Mm-hmm.
which is also one of the reasons why I really wanted to host him also on
Mm-hmm.
Decubate. We have Solidus, so we have actually incubated AI tech. They're using a lot of our technology. If you go now to their launchpad and you see our launchpad, you would see a lot of resemblance.
Yeah.
But also they're like very hardworking CEO. We have incubated them, advised them, and it's terrific to see their ongoing success. Tech check as well. Um, I've been advisor for RAF, also hosted them, and
Mm-hmm.
Octavia. I was also assistant and also towards their launch. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of pride there to see them also like successful, and I'm sure there will also be successful in the future. Obviously, like not financial advice, I cannot control the future. I can only speculate on it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for sharing these details. And actually, finally, uh, I can say Decubate stands at a really solid ground right now. You have a well-grounded project, regulatory compliance, and you are elaborately researching and investing in the projects that you are having an idea with. And you said even if we approve kind of project, we don't always put them in the idea. We don't always launch them. So you're very meticulous about it. And I think for these reasons, Decubate has a very solid ground already. But looking ahead, what's on the horizon for Decubate? Are there any upcoming features or maybe partnerships that users and investors should be excited about?
Definitely. So we have now announced 5 upcoming projects. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to overflow the website
Mm-hmm.
with the other 20 that might come up in the upcoming months. So we are very, very much working closely
Mm-hmm.
with the different teams within Decubate. I didn't mention this, but we have more than 30 people actually working within Decubate in certain departments of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, there's going to be a lot of really great projects that we're currently collaborating with. Very exciting to be able to offer them on Decubate. When it comes to new features and these kind of things, our team, we have a dedicated development team just on the
Mm-hmm.
Launchpad. So that means that we have community managers reading all your questions, all your concerns, and these kind of things. And if we see the same question 5 times, that means that we did something not correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're improving that. When it comes to very big releases, we are intending to release also. I don't want to say too much, but you would see it very soon when it comes to like big announcements.
Okay.
We have actually listed Decubate very recently
Mm-hmm.
on Gate and now also on Bitpanda. That is
Mm-hmm.
the third, one of the top actually cryptocurrency brokers in the
Yes.
whole Europe. Shouldn't be underestimated. There's a lot of that coming up because yeah, the bear market wasn't the right time for Decubate to list on exchanges, and now we feel like the right time is here, and that is why we're doing that. Hope that gives a little bit more excitement for people trying out Decubate. So I typed to the platform that there's a lot of things going on,
Mm-hmm.
and also a lot of ongoing improvements, small improvements, but continuously improving.
Yeah. Well, that's out of info and insightful information about the project as well. Thank you for answering all the questions detailedly, and also the tier system and how you select IDOs, regulatory compliance, due diligence. These are the topics that community is very curious about, and they want to hear it from the founders and the people who are inside the project. So I believe this has been very helpful. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think fantastic questions. It was really a pleasure to be here. Again, as a final reminder, you'll be able to use the link down below. We are going to see how many users are actually registered through that link, and we're going to select one of you that is going to win a lifelong gold tier.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, hope you are going to be the winner.
Yeah, don't forget to use the link in the description for a lifetime gold tier. This will be huge for our community. So thank you for providing us that. I believe people will be very about it, and they already jumped into the link as we are talking about, I guess. So that's all for today's AMA. Thank you so much, Mr. Elliot Hagemeijer, for answering the questions. And I will be sure to keep an eye on Decubate. And there are many exciting things coming on the project. You said you didn't give us many details, but I'm sure we will know about it when they come, because I think community will appreciate what Decubate is doing. So that's all, and goodbye to all of you, and I hope to see you on the next AMA.
Thank you so much for having me. See you, everyone.
Bye bye.